Well, here's where we cap our look at these two holographic characters. Nearing the end of the series, there was a lot of issues of the Doctor's status because he was a hologram, and this time he decided to explore it with Voyager fanfiction once again. And damn, that image is just stunning. I mean, I so want a smoking jacket. After the credits, we have another final season milestone. Reg Barkley has one-upped himself by being able to send real-time video of himself and Omar Bradley, though only for 11 minutes due to issues with the quantum singularity, alignment issues, and YouTube size restrictions.
Thankfully, in 2024, that problem has gone away and been replaced by malicious robots.
They can now use the time to contact home.
In my hat, I hold 146 sequentially numbered isolinear chips,
along with 3 species of lice. The numbers on the isolinear chips will determine the order for communicating with friends and loved ones. Everyone reaches in for a chance to get a low number and a handful of dandruff.
My mom's birthday's next week. This could be the best present I ever gave her. Who's everyone else calling?
My agent, to fire his ass! Harry naturally winds up near the end of the line. Poor dumb Harry. The only way his life could get any worse is if they announced there'd be an 8th season. Of course, that'd make my life worse too. Tom's nice enough to trade with him though, but you'll see what kind of favor that turns out to be soon. The Doctor, on the other hand, was first in line and uses it to talk to a publisher interested in his fanfic, and like many fanfic authors, desperate for positive feedback, as we'll soon see. The Doctor's most notable character flaw is his ego, so he's quick to boast to Paris about the company publishing his work, known for its sophisticated taste, and is easily persuaded to let Paris run it himself. So Paris starts up Photons Be Free, the story of an emergency medical hologram aboard the starship Vortex trapped in the Delta Quadrant. The crew are all thinly veiled caricatures of themselves. In other words, this is what happens if you watch my show and then try to write a Voyager episode. Chakotay is Bajoran, and his defining by his religion is very in your face, with his huge, multicolored tattoo dominating half his face and a huge earring with a clip. He wants Tom to treat the mildly injured helmsman rather than the critically wounded guy, complete with bigoted dialogue that makes the KKK sound subtle. Captain Jenkins then arrives, wanting to know why Tom's not treating the helmsman, and when he insists the other man will die if he's not treated immediately, Jenkins pulls out a phaser and shoots the patient. That obviously is completely unrealistic. Janeway would never just murder a member of her crew in front of so many witnesses.
Captain Janeway murders a crewman?
Lucky bastard. Torres thinks Tom is overreacting, so she, Harry, and Neelix all take turns with Photons Be Free. Torres sees that Tom is a manipulative womanizer cheating on his wife. He even has a porn stash. He sends her to engineering for an emergency, using a mobile emitter the size of a backpack. Her counterpart is human and a totally spiteful bitch just on the edge of physical violence with the EMH. Neelix, on the other hand, faces off against Jenkins in her awesomely decorated ready room. Eat lead, emergency medical shithead!
An inventory of your hollow matrix. 50 gigaquads of memory devoted to music.
Damn, somebody's been hitting the Pirate Bay. Harry takes over for the being dragged away and roughed up scene, of course, where Tuvok is Janeway's goateed lackey and Kim himself is a Trill who's obsessed with things going wrong for himself. Seven, of course, is the only ally the EMH has and tries to help him escape. When it fails and the EMH is about to have the uniqueness of itself purged, she also gives the speech before Jenkins does him in. This scene is experienced by Janeway herself, and needless to say, she's extraordinarily pissed off. They confront him in the magic meeting room over it, but he insists this isn't about Voyager at all.
I used your physical parameters as a starting point, but I assure you any further similarities are purely coincidental.
Shockingly, they don't agree with that assessment, but he insists it's true.
The Vortex characters are larger than life. They're nothing like our crew. As far as I know, Captain, you haven't executed any of my patients.
I can't recall anything like that in the 14 months we've been in the Delta Quadrant. And that would explain why Kes is left out of the program. He also explains the mobile emitter is there to show the constant reminder of being different. Last week we discussed some contrast between him and Vic Fontaine as far as his origin and uniqueness goes. Now I'd like to take that a step further. Like the Doctor, Vic wanted to do more than just sing when told to. He wanted to live. But the differences are that Vic is perfectly content with his holographic setting. All he wants to do is to be able to fully explore it, to fully experience it. The Doctor, on the other hand, wants more than that, to have more responsibility, to publish holonovels, etc. Now, you might argue that the Doctor is a more sophisticated program, But let's be honest, there is no way to know that for sure, and given what Vic is capable of doing and how adaptive he seems to be, we're just going to have to accept the fact there's no way to know for sure. I think this more likely comes from environment. From moment one, Vic was treated with respect by the DS9 crew, who admired his talents, listened to his advice. For the Doctor, he was treated with a certain degree of mistrust, and the concerns of his bedside manner was met with, "Let's just reprogram him." And it took a lot of persuading by Kess to suggest the radical idea of just trying to talk to him. The Doctor's need to satisfy his ego probably comes in part from being so incredibly talented, yet so unappreciated for so long that to get the recognition he feels he deserves, well, is often not enough.
The Doctor speaks of the situation of the other EMHs mentioned in Lifeline, scrubbing plasma conduits and mining dilithium, though it seems like an awful lot of work to put holograms in mine shafts to work, set up the hollow emitters and all that. He says he himself doesn't feel oppressed, but they are, and he hopes that this will help it be recognized. Janeway says it's all good, but has he thought about how it affects them? So the Doctor falls back on, "You no likey, you no ready," and leaves.
Oh, and it seems it's time for our daily dose of Harry's shame, the conversation with his parents. "Happy birthday, Mom! Why aren't you a lieutenant yet?" Nothing like our characters' parents showing up to really embarrass them. Why do you think Shmi had to die in Star Wars? No one could have respected Vader if he tried talking to her. "Mother, I am now the second most powerful man in the galaxy." "And I suppose being second best is good enough for you." "Mom, Owen owns his own farm, you know." Harry feebly tries to explain to his mom why he's still an ensign when a Ferengi dishwasher is now a decorated lieutenant and war hero, but his mom insists she's writing to Janeway to straighten this out. Before he makes it clear how bad that would be, the signal breaks up. Well, he's upset, so Seven tries comforting him with the knowledge that he'll have another chance to talk to them in a couple of months, which, admittedly, is a whole lot better than what his prospects were last week, right?
Maybe if you had family you were close to, you'd feel a little differently.
Gosh, when you put it like that, I'm sorry that the utter annihilation and assimilation of everything I ever knew and loved has inconvenienced you. If you need me, I'll be right here, trying to recover a happy memory the Borg didn't purge for being irrelevant. See you in 2 months, Ensign!
So the Doctor goes to complete his revisions to his holonovel when he discovers that Paris has pranked him. His program has been replaced with one about having to be Paris assisting the Doctor. As with everything else, the Doctor's self-importance is dialed up to 11.
This is outrageous. What's outrageous is that I'm going to miss my tea time.
He observes the CMO treating Seven, or rather the one from his program, and Paris has obviously read the combination of "she's his only aide" with "plus she's a redhead," and so has him drug her so she'll sleep with him. Not something our Doctor would do, of course, but we do know that he wants to, shall we say, service the collective. The Doctor's pissed off, but Paris says he was just trying to make a point, and the Doctor doesn't seem to get it.
But what if some people ran that program and thought that it was based on you? That would bother you, wouldn't it?
I don't care what people think.
That's all you care about! You want everyone back home to think of you as a brilliant author.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Paris leaves and the Doctor's glum. Neelix arrives, much to the Doctor's joy.
Unless you're suffering acute symptoms, go away.
That is the standing order, Neelix. Neelix is asking about writing a holo cookbook, and when the Doctor refuses to be involved, tells him how much he loves Photons Be Free. The Doctor then shows how on-the-nose Tom was by immediately basking in the praise and talking about all the appreciation he'll get. Neelix, showing uncharacteristic insight, says it won't matter what the crew thinks once this makes him the talk of the Alpha Quadrant, getting through to the Doctor. I'm impressed, Neelix. You have managed to convince me to...
There's an old Talaxian expression.
Oh, you know, Neelix, I was this close to waving the stupid Neelix moment this episode. Really. You bring it on yourself.
When the road before you splits in two, take the third path.
The third path would be back the way you came. The Doctor decides to alter the characters so the story will be the same, but they won't be recognizable. But his publisher is resistant. He assures the Doctor he'll wait, but he doesn't. And Admiral Paris tells them apparently it's being played in thousands of holosuites. And because the Doctor's a hologram, he has no legal right to control his work. Chakotay suggests they could argue defamation of character, try to prove this harmful portrayal is completely untrue. Janeway responds as you'd expect. Well, of course. Absolutely it's untrue. And we'd so win a case proving that, but, what about the doctor's rights, huh? No, I can't in good conscience pursue your plan, Chakotay. Totally right though it is. Instead, Tuvok represents him in a civil case.
Our most successful children's title is a program written by Toby the Targ.
Toby the Targ is the author of serious literature? Because when I think serious literature, I think Klingon pig. Tuvok points out that as a creator of an original piece of art, the Doctor's an artist, but the arbitrator points out the same thing that Vic told Nog. A hologram is not a person. The Voyager crew aims to prove otherwise. This brings up the measure of a man issue by, not bringing it up. True that was a case of a singular android versus a hologram who's one of many copies, but it seems to be similar enough to at least deserve mention. Then again, it might have been kept out to avoid comparison, because this just doesn't hold a candle to Picard's cross-examination and closing argument. It's a montage of people talking about the Doctor's achievements, including how he went back to save Louis Zimmerman, though told secondhand by Barclay. Perhaps they couldn't get the actor who played Zimmerman to return on such short notice. After the montage, Janeway delivers her own closing argument, which really sews up the difference. While Picard spoke passionately about how this could very well be the first step on a slippery slope to turn the Federation into a slave society, Janeway offers a casual persuasion that maybe we can just stretch our definitions a little bit further. Now, I realize this is a minor tort case rather than the larger issues of Measure of a Man, but Janeway has decided to turn this into a serious legal issue, yet her statement is given with less passion than the last time she was pissed at Seven for thinking for herself. I've seen more hard-fought legal arguments over speeding tickets. The arbitrator isn't convinced the Doctor fits the legal definition of a person, but he does decide that he is individual enough to be considered an artist and can order the work recalled and corrected. The episode closes out with a far more powerful argument and a very technically impressive scene, which I'll let speak for itself.
And it goes on, but I have to stop there because in irony of ironies, I cannot present to you this convincing argument in favor of artificial intelligence because it is being blocked by artificial intelligence.
Post-episode follow-up. Stupid Neelix's moment is his usual Talaxian antics. They have a dumb proverb for every situation. Final score for Author is 9 out of 10. Not as strong as Lifeline, but still one of the greats of the series. There were a few scenes I didn't really discuss, such as Torres and Seven talking with those back home, but while they served some character function, they just kind of felt like they were getting in the way of the story. At least giving Torres some reconciliation with her father is justifiable, but Seven really didn't need to talk to Aunt Irene to flesh her out. But we can discuss her more when we get to Scorpion.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
I'm afraid.